I've got to be a clown. Hey, welcome to the Nothing New podcast, episode 10. And like we said last week, we had a very special episode planned for you for our 10th episode. Come on. So we're live in flesh, live and direct. I could touch my man. I could touch him as well. Mr. Muscle. I can touch him again.
Maybe.
No more that Zoom thing, no more.
Maybe
we're live.
Episode 11's going back to Zoom. We're going to get like this, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, so Zoom thing still.
Come on.
He knows not to touch me, sexual harassment.
Yeah, sexual harassment. I don't want none of that. Man don't want to do no David Bummy thing. I'm joking.
Although sexual harassment's actually not funny. Just
joking.
I would never make a joke about
I know, I'm
harassment.
just saying.
Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, welcome to the Nothing New podcast, episode 10. We have a special guest in the building today. You can introduce yourself, please.
I'm Lovelynn. I work in advertising and I'm a mental health advocate.
Woo!
Woo.
Yeah, so
Go on,
yeah.
clap for me.
You're not going to clap once?
Why should I clap? Why
I just meant as a collective.
Why not?
Thank you.
I'll clap. I just thought, you might want to do it. Yeah, so yeah, welcome, and we'll just, same thing as
Does he always tell you
usual.
to put your phone away?
No, it's usually him I tell him to put his phone away because he's usually playing games on his phone. You're allowed to have your phone. This isn't like some. Why am I the only one talking? Why am I the only one talking?
I know I'm allowed to have my phone. I have to talk.
Don't get. Listen, I'll slap you. I'll slap you.
People are watching.
Yeah, why am I the only one talking still? Yeah, introduce yourself.
Obviously, you know who man is. Come on, guys.
You know who we are already.
No, what's their first time?
No, where's their
listeners?
first time? Yeah, where's their first time listeners?
They saw me on the screen and said,
They didn't. But obviously, I'm Ori.
Yeah, well, gonna vote.
That's it. Yeah.
Look at this guy's arms, cuz.
Well,
Stop, man. Every
listen,
single episode, now allow me,
Jesus
please.
Christ.
listen, you lot ain't really seeing it because I'm sitting far away from him in it, but by comparison, he's like times 8 of man. He's just over there, so you can't really see it.
Yeah, when you guys are into be adults, you let me know.
So
And
no
then
more.
we can
We can get it.
Yeah.
it's true though. How do you maintain this when you were laughing at me? You were doing jumping jacks in my room. So how do you...
I didn't do jumping jacks in my room.
It's the Jollof Present Supermodel tie.
I'm sure he even bought one with him.
Yeah? Oh, he's finished
it.
though.
I finished it. Yeah,
I was going to say
listen,
Supermodel
it made the
sponsored.
episode still.
But yeah, what are we talking about this episode, guys?
Boy.
What are we talking about this episode? Because, hey, for the 10th episode, man, try and make it special for you guys, innit? Try and make sure that everybody came with a topic.
Yeah.
So, let's find out what topics people came with. We're going to start with Bo. What topic did you come with today?
Whoa, I was gonna discuss the coronavirus stuff, you know.
No.
that don't count. That don't count.
What topic
4
did
months.
you come
Wait,
with?
No, what topic did you come with?
No. Since you're
No, since you're always asking, yeah, no, what topic
Say
did you come
examples.
with?
Let's go.
What am I saying? So
No,
you're
wait,
the
I
one who
came
told
with, no,
people.
I came with multiple topics.
Oh,
I came with
just
multiple
one.
topics. Okay, cool.
Okay, let's just one.
So, as we've discussed before in the past, about 3 weeks ago, right? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 3 or 4 weeks?
I don't know what I'm
We don't
doing.
know
So,
where it's going.
okay, so it's in regards to the list that was released on Instagram about a lot of the celebrity influencers /
Man,
blah
you
blah
know
blah.
what's so funny? I was gonna talk about
No, you weren't. You're chatting
it's
shit.
on a genius
It's on
thing,
the
It's on a genius thing. Like
Nah,
obviously,
you're
you
chatting
just
shit,
stole the
man.
words right. But I hear you gonna carry.
Yeah, no, yeah. So we wanted obviously when that happened, we wanted to speak about it, but we didn't feel it was right for 3 men to talk about the experiences that a lot of women go through, and we didn't want to do that if there wasn't a woman present. So today that Lovelyn's here, not knowing that we're gonna do this, it's something that
Woo!
I would like for us to-
Blindsided! Talk about sexual harassment experiences. We love to say it.
No, not your one, unless you want to share that. But
No, we can see where it takes us.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, so that's one of the ones we wanted to talk about, and then we can get into the usual lovely banter stuff that we talk about on Nothing New. So yeah, if you don't mind, so what was your general?
Did you see it? Have you seen it?
I did see it. My friend sent it to me, and I was just like, do you know what? If your name's on there, I don't care whether it's true or false.
Ooh.
I'm blocking every single one of you. So I sat there on my lunch break because I'm still working from home, and I just blocked every single person on that list.
Okay.
My thing is that, why is your name even possibly floating around them kind of allegation? And again, in the future, I don't want to meet someone and I'm like, oh, he's great, blah, 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 and then he ends up being some person on that list. So if I just block you, I will never, yeah. And it was, at first I was like, I'm calm, I'm fine. It was very much methodical. I was just block, block, block. And then everyone's talking about their own experiences, and then some stuff came up, and I was like, oh, okay, looks like I'm a bit triggered. And then I was actually really upset for the next week or so. But I have therapy like every so often, every 2-3 weeks. So me and my therapist spoke about it last week. And we went through it because someone I know was on the list.
It's a bit weird, wasn't it?
And that's what I'm gonna say.
Because obviously, for it's one of those topics that we have to tread carefully through, and just in terms that we would never understand. We don't want to be the typical men who go, oh yeah, not only women experience sexual assault, because that's true, but we know that as a man, you're a lot less likely to experience sexual assault than a woman. But then it's kind of like on the same...
I don't know, is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true? An actual fact?
Yeah.
Because if it's sexual assault as in like sexual coercion...
I mean, that's a different thing to get into. It's a different...
Fine.
It's almost like as a man speaking up about your experiences now, I don't want to say your actual sexual assault experience. It's almost, to me, it's equivalent to a white person saying that, you know, they've been discriminated because of their race. Like I'm sure it happens, but it doesn't happen on the same scale as it does to a woman.
I guess it depends. If you see other women talking about it, now you feel empowered to...
No, facts, yeah, like do your thing. But then it's kind of like...
It's different if you are a man and you're like...
As a woman...
Like, go for it, don't!
Yeah, so that's counterproductive in my opinion. But in terms of that list, when I saw it, my initial reaction was...
How did you see the list?
Who
sent you the list?
It was just something I saw on like Instagram. And I don't have Twitter in it, but I saw it on Instagram. It was just a lot of the women who had the same reaction that you did to it. I was a bit baffled by it, if I'm completely honest, because I'm a person who is kind of like, if I see something, I want to find out if it's true or not before I then act upon it. But then, obviously, like I said, I'm not a woman. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. But my initial reaction to it isn't the same reaction, because obviously our life experiences are very, very different. But anyway, I say this to then say, with the men that are on that list, if you're a man on that list that you don't feel like you know that you haven't done anything wrong and you feel like this is completely fabricated, what is the next step for you? What would you, from a woman's point of view, what do you then say if you're one of those men on there? By the way, if you're one of those men on that list and you've done shit, you deserve to fucking die. Like, facts. No, facts. If you've sexually assaulted a woman, if you've sexually whatever, you deserve to fucking die. You're just a trash person. But if you're one of... Because I saw one on Instagram the other day when there was a guy who went and did a lie detector test to prove that...
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, get a grip.
No, but why... So for example, why do you say get a grip? Because if you're...
Because lie detector tests are like 60-70% accurate anyway. True. And you can falsify them.
But the problem with this whole situation is it tends to be a lack of evidence kind of thing. And more importantly, when those situations happen, more time females don't speak up immediately.
Women.
What I said?
No, you said females.
Women don't speak up immediately, right? Because obviously the experience is daunting or whatever, so they come out of it like whenever they're ready in it. But there's a lack of evidence for proving that you did do it or it did happen to you. Just as there's a lack of evidence to say I didn't do it. Obviously, no one's gonna say if a woman comes out and says, "Oh, this happened to me," no one's gonna discredit her. But at the same time,
you'd be surprised.
You know what I'm saying? No sane
no one
person,
in their right mind.
Yeah, would discredit.
No one that we would want to listen to would discredit
it immediately. But at the same time, if someone comes out and says you've done this, there's no way that you can also prove
that you haven't done
it. Well, unless you've got like receipts here and there. But even then,
like
things are a bit shaky. Like for example, Justin Bieber, I swear he got called out.
Yeah, but then he had receipts saying that he was.
You know what I'm saying? But even though he's got receipts and he's closed that case, I think
it's a hard one, because at the end of the day,
where do you go from there? Because that stains on your name.
Like you said, how do you know actually in your heart of hearts that you've actually not done anything?
You know what I'm saying?
How do you know that you didn't make a girl feel uncomfortable or you didn't coerce her into doing that?
And this is...
So if someone comes to you and says,
coerced me.
Yeah, if someone comes to you and says you coerced me, you should turn around and be like, shit, sorry, like, and just hold your hands. Like, even if you're in your heart of hearts, you're like, I don't think I did. Like, if you make someone feel uncomfortable to the point that they're like, I feel like I was sexually assaulted by you, it's an L you're going to have to take. You're
Yeah.
going to have to apologise, and you're going to have to try and do better and figure out what was it in my actions that made her think that. Because we could get to X point and then I change my mind and I say, no, actually, I'm not in the mood anymore. And then you're like, oh, but come on, no, please.
That's
like,
coercion, by the way.
Like, oh, come, if you're in a relationship, like, if you love me, you would. Like, oh, it'll be quick. Da, 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 da. That's coercion.
That's coercion.
And then if I get to the point where I end up having sex with you, okay, yeah, I did, but did I feel
coerced me into
comfortable about it? And I think my experience was like, I was like, am I looking at this with my adult 22-year-old mind on me being a teenager? Because obviously there's peer pressure, that's a thing as well. So was I like, I was just peer pressured because peer pressure is peer pressure? Or was it, nah, like genuinely I was assaulted and I was violated? And for me that was something I had to be like, I can't sit on this and go around and round in circles and try and figure out if that instance in particular was sexual assault, because that's not any good for me.
Yeah.
And my therapist was like, just let it go. Like, you can't look at your adult brain on that kind of trauma, because you're going to try and make sense of it with your adult brain as opposed to your teenage
When it happened
or
to you,
your
you were a
child brain.
teenager.
Yeah.
And it affected your teenage brain.
So I was like, let that go.
Yeah.
But there are so many situations where men and women are being coerced into... I heard a fucking video on Twitter where some guy was like, I'm not having sex with you tonight, I'm not having sex with you tonight. And she's like, I don't care, I want to rape you, I'm going to rape you. Like, I don't... Like, just brazen. And it just gets laughed off as like, ha ha ha, it is what it is. But it's not.
I think the reason it gets laughed off when women do it, is because in that kind of situation they tend to have less physical dominance.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's
situation
this perception where it's like I think I was speaking to you about this. If as a man, I'm 6'2", right? Sorry,
repeat that again, man.
5 foot on the dot. He mentions that every single episode. By the way, I'm
That's 6 foot. It's because I'm sitting next to this guy who has a beard and this guy who has the arms the size of like fucking Hercules, bruv. So I have to just say I'm tall, innit? That's what I've got going for me. I'm tall. That's what I've got going for me.
He's Clem Hercules, bro.
Nah. So yeah, as a man, right? If I'm 6'2" and I weigh like what I weigh, you don't need to know. But let's just say I'm big built, innit? I'm big built.
Spiritually.
If as a woman,
Yeah.
if I'm with a woman now, she's like 5'2", and she weighs half of what I weigh. It doesn't make sense in your head to say that I'm just saying as an example. It doesn't make sense in my head to say that she coerced me into doing something, because not once during our interaction did I feel like I was in danger because you could overpower me.
Yeah, but it's not about danger. It's just generally just feeling uncomfortable, and your boundaries have been violated.
No, facts. But if we were to flip it, and then I was the 5'2" woman with a 6'2" guy, it would be a lot easier for me to be coerced, because in my mind I could be thinking,
yeah, that is
if
that
I say no,
level danger. Yeah,
he could just do it anyways.
Yeah.
but you also don't know the 5'2" girl, whether she's smaller than you. Yeah, but she's not got a knife in her back pocket.
It's true.
What?
But it's all about
It's all
perceptions and how
the
you see
perception.
people. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like that's laughed off a lot. But it's definitely possible for dudes to get coerced.
Yeah, facts.
But that's dangerous. That's also dangerous mentality, because then it adds a layer of, if you come, was it sexual assault? And because that's what the thing with a lot of male sexual assault victims will be like. Well, I came. If I didn't want to come, I wouldn't.
No, I don't control whether I come or not.
So, like, there are a lot of.
happens.
I don't control whether I come or not. There are loads of times when I don't want to, and I still do. So clearly, I don't control whether I do or not.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
No, but am I chatting shit? Am I chatting shit?
No, but that's what I mean.
See where she goes with this.
That's what I mean, because then if you're looking at it in the level of like, I didn't feel coerced because she's smaller than me, but then if you end up in a situation where she does end up just getting on top of you and riding you, like I've seen stories about where women do that. That happens
loads.
Then if you do come, and then you're going to be like, well, if I didn't want it, then I would have just pushed her off. You know what I mean? Because I'm stronger than her, so why don't I just push her off?
Makes sense.
And then that makes you doubt yourself when you are still a victim.
You've been gaslighted.
You've been gaslighted. And then if you come, you're going to be like, well, I obviously must have wanted it because I came.
Yeah. So
otherwise I would have just pushed her off.
Makes sense.
And something I wanted to ask you, and just get the perspective of, like, I've been trying to get the perspective of women around me as well. It's kind of like, in terms of sexual assault victims or people who, sexual assault, sexual harassment victims, right? I think now a lot of people, what I've seen through social media and people I've spoken to, is the whole idea where we've now transitioned from like victim shaming and victim blaming now to, you have to believe the victim, or not have to, you should, as just a good person. If somebody tells you I've been raped or I've been sexually assaulted, your one thing should be to believe them. You shouldn't think this person would lie about that, because that's just a crazy thing to lie about. is then, okay, cool. We can try to change the public perception of this, where we go automatically believe the victim.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, that does nothing, because this person is still suffering, and most of the times, the people who have done this to them are still roaming about. It's kind of like, I draw similarities to kind of a lot of the protests that were going on for the Black Lives Matter movement, where the people protesting to stop racism.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, that's stupid, because if I'm a racist and I see you protesting, I'm not all of a sudden going to go, you know what, they protested, I'm no longer going to be racist. The same way where if I, God forbid, I don't even want to put this on myself, but if a sexual assaulter or somebody who goes around sexually assaulting women was to see people putting on Instagram, believe women, in their head, they're not all of a sudden going to go, I'm going to stop doing this now.
A lot of sexual assaulters don't think they're sexual assaulters, and a lot of racists don't think they're racist.
So this, my point is this, right? What is it now with this movement? What is the actual aim of this movement? Is it to just...
I'd say it's holding people accountable. Because you have to believe them first to even take it any step further. Out of 100 rape cases, only 2 to 8%, based on various statistics and where you look, will be false.
Okay.
That means out of 100 men and women that are like, I was sexually assaulted or I was raped, 2% to 8 of them will be lying. Okay. Just that's it. But when you look at the numbers of like, okay, so the case gets, if you do take it to the police, then when they investigate it and having them put into, I don't even know how the legal system works, but like in terms of them actually ending up in prison, the numbers of rapists that end up in prison is very low. Pathetic. And then the sentences that they serve are pathetic.
Okay, and that brings me to the question where I want to ask. In terms of with the justice system, are we proposing that if a woman or a man accuses somebody of rape, because most of the time it comes down to your word versus my word.
Yep.
Are we proposing that we take as the justice system, do we just take the victim's word and then just throw the other person in jail?
I don't know how it works.
I don't think it works like that in court, because if I accuse you of something...
Yeah, because the justice system is about innocent until proven guilty.
You only have to prove that
I didn't do it. Or that even if I did do it, I just have to... You can't prove that I did it.
Yeah, exactly. The evidence that I provide, you just have to counter that.
But in most cases, there isn't a lot of evidence. The evidence is just, we had sex, he forced me.
And
so then where do we go from there?
Advice, I guess, moving forward, maybe to encourage females to speak out. And more importantly, the movement, although it's about holding people accountable, it should be also about looking to impact on the legal system that governs this whole situation.
So that's what I want. So what changes? What can we do now to ensure that there will be changes on the legal system, so that, like you said, with the percentage of people who are actually being like incarcerated for this is so low, how do we get it to a point where we start to see an increase in numbers? Because it's unfair to be sexually assaulted or sexually harassed and still seeing those people who did that to you just walking free.
Well, I guess it's the beginning bit, like just in general, that initial interview, not that I've gone through it, but how it seems like those initial interviews and how they're conducted and the questions that they're asked, and it's already like traumatic enough, and then you have to have like an invasive full body search essentially, and then you're being asked, were you drinking? How much were you drinking? Yeah. What were you wearing? Did you da-da-da-da? All those questions that immediately start to blame the victim. Like, there are tweets on tweets of women being like, I did report to the police, and then they asked me X, Y, Z to try and discredit my story. And what does that come down to? Patriarchy.
It's a bit crazy, though. I'm probably going to edit. I'm going to...
She's been screaming that before we was recording.
No, sorry, but if we're thinking...
No, it's true.
We know that the legal system is racist, but it's also... It was made for straight white men. That's it at the end of the day. Because why are things like prostitution illegal? Why? If men were prostitutes into the scale that women were back in the day, way back when, do you think prostitution would be legal?
I think prostitution might be a bad example to use in this situation. I don't think prostitution is because of patriarchy.
Oh, I 100% think it is.
Me personally, I don't think, because, you shouldn't... I just think it's a very dangerous... like topic to touch.
There are a lot of things, fine. There are a lot of things.
But they're male prostitutes too.
Not to the scale of women.
No, of course not to the scale of women.
But there are a lot of things that, because women engage in, they're seen as negative.
But it's like saying drug dealers. If something's a bad thing, it doesn't matter whether it's a male-dominated industry or a female-dominated industry.
No, because drug dealers would link to racism.
Why?
Because
if I sell drug, I'm a drug dealer. I don't care about the. Yeah,
but the idea of a society that breeds and allows drug dealer is because of capitalism.
Oh, we're not going to get into this conversation of capitalism again. We're not going to get into this conversation. We had a back and forth on Instagram about capitalism.
Racism, sexism, whatever, they all lead to the same point I'm making, that straight white male. The law is made for straight white men, that is the be all and end all. When it was written by a bunch of straight white men that were making decisions, and they were like, "Yep, this floats my boat. We're gonna do that."
Yeah, no facts. It's a white country. It's a white country. Sometimes, sometimes I feel so. Did you see the video about the African uncle at the protest? African uncle at the protest. It's like, if you don't like it, go back to your country. And he was spanning all the EDL members.
Yeah, I've seen it. Uncle doesn't know what he's doing out there.
That uncle wants the papers.
He doesn't know what he's doing out there.
That uncle wants the papers.
Listen, when he gets home, Auntie's gonna flog him.
No, but it's like as much as I disagree with what he's saying fundamentally, he's got a point to the terms that I think. Actually, let me never. It's just at the end of the day, we live in a white country. It's a white country. Like everything, the odds are stacked against us straight away. Whether that's right or wrong, it's wrong. But it's the odds are stacked against us.
On the sexual harassment, though, in terms of the movement, I would say that there's two sides to every coin, which is there are, like you said, the law and enforcement, and there are people like actually holding people
accountable,
like physically accountable by taking them to prison and stuff. And then there's the other side, which is what can we do on an everyday basis, which is that at the end of the day, you can't vouch for anyone but yourself.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
You can't break your neck to defend people being like, no, my mate would never do that.
If I see anyone online getting drugged,
this is what I told you. I said, God forbid. But if somebody was to say, if somebody was to say, yo, like Ore was on this list, I'm gonna be like, yo, God forbid. But if somebody, no, I was just using that as an example. I'm gonna be like, yo, Ore, did you do it? Yes or no? If you're like, no, I didn't do it. Cool. I'm gonna take your word for it that you didn't do it, but I'm not going online to then go say I know Ore, because I don't know what Ore does when Ore is at home.
Even myself,
when
if I see you online, I'll tell you to shut up because they're making it worse. I'll tell you to shut up myself. I don't want to see you. Listen, just leave. Let me do my thing.
I wouldn't even try to defend it because I don't know what you do.
You're going to put out an iOS press release?
Impossible. You know what it is? I think...
Oh yeah, that's shambolic as well.
Yeah, I think all of this apologies online and on Twitter, and I'm just thinking, I don't know, like, who you're apologising to, really. If someone's accused you of... Bro, the only reason I would say to go online and apologise is if the person who's accused you stayed anonymous, because then you don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But if someone's accused me of doing the mad thing,
go to the person.
I'm not going on Twitter.
Unless there's bare girls that you slept with, I reckon that you would know off the top of your head.
True. Or maybe you might know, unless you've done a mad thing on the streets. And,
unless you're just...
The numbers are off. You know what I'm saying? So obviously cool, but like, all these apologies I'm saying on Twitter, I want to apologise to
Yeah,
I'm not that kind of person.
That's stupid.
Bro,
that's stupid.
Nobody cares because
bro, once you've been accused,
it's game over.
Yeah,
it's tinted.
It's game over.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Now all you can do moving forward, and it's not enough to just say, please, as soon as somebody accuses you, just be like, yo, you like, even if you think you did it or you didn't do it, just clearly you've done something to the person where they felt uncomfortable. Unless you believe in your heart of hearts.
No, but everyone's...
unless you know as a fact that you know it's bullshit, where you've asked, even halfway through, you've been like, yo, you sure you're still cool with this? And you said yes. And you've asked 5 minutes later, you still cool with this? And you said yes. And you're checking at interval times. Unless you have proof of that, man don't want to hear from you. Man don't want to hear from you. Unless you have proof of that. Unless you have proof of where every 20 seconds... No. Not release a tape. Not release a tape. But unless you have proof of that, man don't want to hear, no, I didn't.
I hear you.
Yeah, but the second after you ask me, am I right? And I say, I have to say, no, I'm not anymore.
And then you stop.
And what if you didn't?
But
that's my point.
That's where you go wrong.
No, but that's where you go wrong. But I'm saying interval times. You don't only ask once. Consent isn't just about asking once at the start, because we can start something and I don't want to do it no more. You gotta keep checking. If you're for the man out there, if you're switching positions, ask, yo, are you still good?
She might even say no because she knows you're dead at this position.
Yeah, but
5 minutes
no,
round, no back case, nothing.
Is that what's going on in your sheets?
What?
Damn.
My sheets are only for sleeping, bro. Yeah.
Look what happens when we try to have a serious conversation.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, like, I hear you. To be honest, if anyone gets called out, except for if you know you're wrong, and most people are going to think this girl's trying shit, or this girl's trying to drag me, or this girl's trying to do this, or she was having it anyway. Most girls, some girls in certain situations that I've seen people tweet about, they're scared, they don't react, they don't say anything.
Yeah, they
go, you know what I'm saying, they freeze, they go home. So most men don't even know Because then when you bring it up, they're like, hold on, but when they think back to the memory, it's like
thinking everything was blessed.
everything was blessed. What's going on? Do you know what I'm
Also,
saying? So
your memories can be altered.
exactly, things change.
You just have to make sure you.
Do you know what I'm saying? So if
communicate.
you get called out, just do your best to find whoever, apologise. Maybe even stay away from them. Maybe that might be the best thing. But at least extend an apology and then just fuck off in it. But
and also look at
not just look at your actions and look at how you treated other women. And
Yeah.
moving forward, make sure that you just have to make sure if you're doing a thing with a woman, just make sure she's comfortable. Like, bruv, that's just 101. Just make sure she's comfortable. If you have to, I don't know what you gotta do, man. Just make sure she's comfortable.
I'm very comfortable. I've consented to be here, so I'm
shout out to I May Destroy You when they were talking about. Have any of you seen
I
it?
need to watch that.
No, what's that?
It's Michaela Cole's new shit show. It's actually really
It looks
good.
hard.
I don't like
She's-
Michaela Cole.
What?
Wait, what did you say?
I don't like
Why
Michaela
not?
Cole.
That's
I
so
think
weird.
she's-
Why?
She's what?
I didn't like the show.
What was the show?
the
What was
she
the show
did
she had on Channel 4?
Channel 4, yeah, I didn't like that show.
I liked
That's
it.
hilarious. I love that.
You watch
I didn't like
TV?
that show.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
No, back then, obviously.
But obviously,
that was back in the day, though, no?
black women doing her
Not back
thing
in the day,
fully
no.
supports.
Recently, yeah.
Black women doing her thing fully supported.
I didn't know what's the chewing gum thing. I thought it was weird. I saw like a clip of it. No,
Is it the one where she's dancing for the white man?
No, there was a clip where like I think there was the white guy came up to her. They was talking and then she was like, "Do you want to be my boyfriend?" So something weird like
shit like that. Yeah.
I was like,
And then Stormzy appeared out of nowhere with flowers. I was like, what the hell's
I
going
said,
on?
what is this? I moved on. Next clip, please.
Was the new show good?
But
Really good. It's about sexual assault, and there's one bit in it where she's sleeping with a guy, and then he takes off the condom, which is called stealthing, and it's like that is rape. Crazy concept, people. That's rape.
That's rape. Does the same thing? Does the same thing apply if she says she's on the pill and she's not?
I don't know about that.
No, not rape, but it's that like what's the term for that? Not rape, because that's not rape.
You know.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Is that rape?
They-
Or is
they-
that rape?
they
Because
come
then
down.
you've agreed to conditions. You've agreed
You
to
know what
do
it is,
this
yeah?
based on a
I
certain
don't know.
condition.
I was gonna.
But if the conditions are not what you agree to, then like
I was gonna. You know, what's so funny. I think part of this as well. Yeah, is also 'cause obviously a lot of females that advocate, women that advocate for this. Yeah.
he's
Love
gonna
that.
be corrected bedtime.
Love
that.
I might do a blooper reel before we say female women.
A lot of women that are gonna be that advocate for this whole movement. Obviously, part of it is they've got their heart set at the right place. They want better for blah blah. But I feel like a lot of people, a lot of women, they just want to absolutely dead every single man out here. They don't care whether you're tall or short, you're in the right or you're in the wrong. They're on. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think a situation what you just explained there.
I think with that though, the only reason why women feel like that is because it's like men have been getting pissed for so long.
Hold on. Where I'm going with this? Because what he just explained there, that whole pill situation, isn't too far off. Stealthing is a peak movement still. You're a crazy guy.
You're creep if you're doing that.
But the what's it called? The mentality behind stealthing and lying that you're on the pills not too far from each other.
It's the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? So if we found a terminology to explain what stealthing is,
Agreed.
do you think women would be able to accept? Do you think women would be able to accept incorporating that terminology
100%.
to describe a woman not being on the pill?
100%. I think most
Right.
women would understand that. That is absolutely insane. That's mad.
Yeah.
But then again, it comes back to the original conversation of, are you just saying it to create a
Put down,
discourse
yeah.
From the
But
original
I'm just saying that
narrative? But I do agree.
you got to be ready for that because there's a lot of people that are gonna. There's a lot of men
There's a
out
lot
there
of times that it's happened
that
to
men are gonna be like,
different
yeah,
people.
not even just happened. There's a lot of men that are gonna be like,
So what happened to you?
no, relax. I told you we just sleep in our
stealthing?
beds.
No.
Listen,
Still
man, we
one.
gotta take this podcast to the next level. You gotta stop with this nonsense, bro. Every day want to be doing Mr. Cool. Expose yourself, man. Let's take this podcast to the next
I'm
level.
sleeping on my bed. Anyway, listen.
No,
what I'm
you
saying.
don't.
Does a pill thing ever happen?
No,
to you?
I'm gonna start exposing you niggas, man. No, you don't. You don't sleep on it.
Ask the question. Does a pill thing ever happen
Yes,
to you?
yes, it has. Yes, it has.
That's mad.
Yes, it has.
But you're not.
Was the remote ringing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
New thing in it. I'll show you that later. It's hard in it. Let me just find it. But I think I'm saying like because there's a lot of men out there that are ready to compete with everything you lot say. It happens to women a lot. There's gonna be a guy out there that's like it happens to men a lot. You know what I'm saying? So
Those people are dickheads.
no, but you have to be ready to talk to them, or else if you just dismiss them,
No, I 100% agree.
they're still gonna be there with that same.
Maybe there is a term
mentality.
and none of us know.
Well, who knows? And also, when that list came out, and people are like, yeah, I'm blocking them, I'm this and that. I'm like, I hear that, but that doesn't make any sense because
I told you my reasoning.
no, I hear that makes sense.
I said I don't want to meet you in the future and be like, "He's sexy.
No,
let's get it stepping." And I find out you got fucking
yeah,
sexual.
but if you've blocked the person and you're not keeping track of them, if you bump into because a lot of the people on that list, you don't know every single person on that list.
Of course not. But if I met you and then I was like, "Oh, I mean,
no, but you
what's your Twitter?" And I go into Twitter and you're blocked. I say, "I don't remember why I blocked you, but there's a reason."
No, but
I believe in me.
I hear you.
Well,
but
that's true. What about Instagram?
Do you know what I'm saying? Or like,
I did both. I said if your name
let's
transferred
say-
against both, I was
TikTok
like,
as well.
let's say it doesn't get that far, yeah. Let's say you don't even get to Instagram or you don't get to it because you're not gonna be the guy you talk to. You're not on day one like big man. What's your Instagram? What's your Twitter? What's your Snapchat? Run it.
Yeah.
Or else, you know what I'm saying? So let's say it's like 2-3 weeks in,
yeah.
right? And you found out and you've already done something. It's long. You know what I'm saying? I think it's best to keep track of those people on the list rather than just
Of
block
course,
them.
I've still got the list saved on my
Excuse
phone.
me, you know what I'm saying? Because if they pop up back in the future and you've blocked
Yeah,
them,
with different ads and all.
yeah, and you've put them out of your mind, you're gonna forget. They're gonna get away with shit. You know
No,
what I'm
I've still got the list on my
so I
phone.
think-
Are
I
they
agree.
updating the list?
I don't know.
Money, man.
It's 20p.
At your grown age. At your grown age.
What age do you stop having 20p's? Faked. But
I
anyway, carry
don't
on.
carry
Carry on.
20p.
I want these
Okay,
ages, so this
okay.
20p.
He must
hide
be-
this is what hide them. But yeah,
The
no.
years of their chew it.
Yeah, what did you say? Are they updating the list?
I don't know. To be honest,
You
I
can't.
don't know.
You update the list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, but new
I
people
know
might
someone
come
who's done
forward.
something.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough.
I don't know. Mine was a screenshot, so I don't know.
Bro, this is hot.
One thing I also wanted to ask now is, you see where you've blocked that person.
Yeah.
So, obviously, sexual assault or sexual harassment is a spectrum, and right at the end of that spectrum is rape, which is the worst thing you can do to I'd rather die than get raped. Like me personally.
Big mood.
So it's the worst thing you can do to a person. At the end of that list is rape. I'm not trying to defend the people at all, but what if you're on the complete other end of that spectrum,
Which is
where
what? Sexual coercion?
no, not coercion. Like let's say.
Like, you just
Because
touch me inappropriately.
technically, if we're in a rave and I come up behind you and I grab your waist and you turn around and you go, "Ew, fuck off," I've sexually harassed you. No,
Yep.
no, we can't.
Yep.
Factually, yes.
Yep.
So, for example, if that's what's happened now,
But do I think women were putting men on that list for
There was
no,
tweets about that,
no,
though. There were-
because with the, so for example with the David Bowie stuff today, it was that he took a picture and put his hand on
Because-
her breast.
No,
What?
no,
Sorry,
no,
but
no.
what life does that make
No,
you
that's
do?
wild.
No,
No, this
no,
No, that's got
Why are you putting your hands on someone's neck?
I know, that's wild.
That's
That
no,
was-
hold
sorry,
on.
that's a wrong
Crazy.
comparison.
No,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
No, I'm
Also,
trying to
no,
say,
that's
no, bro.
crazy. Alright, go on.
But you're
So
trying
what
to
I'm
say,
trying,
like,
no, I'm trying to
no,
say
no.
is that is different to rape.
No, I hate. Okay, cool.
So my point is this: what if you've blocked everybody on that list now?
Yeah.
At what
He
point?
deserves to be blocked, by the way, just saying.
100.
At what point?
There's no coming back.
Just
At what point?
That
No,
was
but
wild.
obviously, yeah, that is. But then,
Yeah, he got blocked this morning. I said.
Yeah.
So for example,
Right,
what was
And his
the?
friends.
What was the? Is it ambush with the stuff with
Ray Black.
Yeah, with Ray Black.
Also very
That's
wild.
very disgusting.
That's stupid.
But
My thing is that
Nah.
you're gonna say like they're different ends of the spectrum, which is yes, completely true. But it's like
Still.
I don't understand your fucking thought process.
neither do I. No, neither do I.
So
but
I'm just, I don't want to
trying
agree with you because I don't understand your
But
fucking thought
what I'm
process.
trying to ask is this: what is the road to redemption for people like that? It's like, are we as human
think it
beings? Are
depends
we
on the
just saying
victim.
once you've sexually assaulted someone or you sexually harassed someone, no matter where you are on that spectrum, we don't care about you no more till you die. You could die at 50, you could die at 100. Fuck you, fuck everything you stand for.
I think it depends
Or
on the
we
victim. I'm
saying
not the victim.
no, or are we saying like up to a certain point where you've shown us you've changed, as long as you're on the
The right path.
like
Thin
other
line.
end of the spectrum of what rape is, like on the complete opposite side, are we saying that there's
Some
room
sort
for
of,
redemption?
yeah.
I do because that's the same with general prisons. I don't think people should be sent for prison just to rot in hell. I mean,
I
rot
think
in
some
there.
people need to be.
That
Like
I feel like
paedophiles, yeah.
there are some
Brought
people.
in there.
There are some people that can have that road to redemption and they can do better and they can rehabilitate in society.
Never a paedophile.
Do I think that if you're just going up to women in the street and touching their breasts, your fucking thought process is flawed and I don't understand. But like there might be something deeper going on. Why do you think that's okay?
I agree. No, don't.
And then it
don't
might
get
be,
me wrong.
and then it might be a matter of
Well,
you can see what's wrong.
You just want to know if there's some sort of redemption for the people that aren't.
I think they can, but I'm
Absolutely
also not the
wrong.
victim, so I can't. You
Yeah.
can't.
So it's up to the victim to decide.
Yeah, I
So
can't,
are we-
I can't forgive your abuser on your behalf. That's not my
True.
business.
Okay, no, because so if that's the case, a very public one is, for example, like Chris
CB.
Brown and Rihanna.
Knew it.
So for example, where Rihanna's gone, yeah, he was ill, he's got help now. blah blah blah. I have love for him, but obviously because what he did was wrong.
Yep.
There's rightfully so. There's still loads of people who, I don't want to say hate, but highly dislike him.
My thing with Chris Brown is that it's not just he one time beat up Rihanna. It's that there are women that have been coming out since be like, he did this, he did that, he did this, he did that. Like he keeps proving himself to not be a good guy. He keeps proving that he has not changed.
Actually,
so that's different. It'd be different if he did do it one time and then you saw a complete 180 in Chris Brown. Then I'd be like, fair enough. If Rihanna wants to forgive him, that's her business. Me personally, Chris Brown's on my no listen list, which is a list of rapists and paedophiles that I have on Spotify. That don't
so you haven't had no guidance now.
It's all over the radio.
Do you like No Guidance?
No, I actually don't. I actually go out of my way to not listen to Chris Brown.
I like that.
Chris Brown,
No Guidance.
Extension,
No.
6ix9ine, Sheck Wes, they're all on my fucking no listen to list.
Cool. So I have a girl. I have a girl on my Instagram. No, not my Instagram. On my Snapchat. Who on the morning of this list, for example, she posted snaps of her blocking all those artists, right? Which I agree with. Like, if you want to do that. I agree with it. But then, so for example, she posted a snap of her like doing the like blocking Justin Bieber and like NSG. So in the case of the Justin Bieber one now, when he's come out with facts and it's factually impossible for me to have done this because A, number one, I wasn't there, and B, here are who I was with, blah blah blah. My thing is this: I'm ready to ride hard for you if you say you've been sexually assaulted. Like, I'm going to ride hard for you. Like, if for example, as much as I don't know you, if Esmond was to be like, yo, Lovelynn said this guy's done this, are you ready to ride out to go? I know who the guy is. Let's go break his knee. All this shit. I'm down.
Just to let everyone know, I would never tell
any
of the men in my life because exactly.
No, I'm just saying, I'm down. Like, I'm ready to ride out. But then just know, I'm equally ready to ride against you.
If you find out
if I found out that it was false.
That's fine.
But this is the thing. A lot of the times, and I don't want to focus on this too much because, like you said, it's only like 2 to 8% of people who lie about this shit. We need to be focusing more on the 92% of people who are telling the truth. But I'm just saying that in that situation, whereas on her snap now, she's shown her thingy blocking all these people, but then when it's been proven incorrectly, a lot of people don't then want to go, you know what, yeah? They've been proven incorrectly now. I can, which I don't know why, because if it's been proven that somebody didn't do something, you shouldn't be ashamed to say that you rode hard for the person.
But a lot of people just genuinely don't like admitting they're wrong anyway. I agree.
But
if you're going to be loud and proud doing it,
you're not in the wrong. In this situation, you're not in the wrong. You've done the right thing, which is what you should do. If you find out that your favorite artist has raped someone, fucking don't listen to their music, block them. But if it then comes out that it was a lie, you haven't done anything wrong, because as a person who has sisters and who has a mum and who has aunties and women friends, I would expect that from you. I would expect that from you. So you've done nothing wrong.
No, I agree, but then I guess then it layers into why did she post it in the first place? Is that just performativeness?
Yeah,
of course.
I'm not allowed to.
So
all of that posting, I blocked this person. You could have done it quietly.
No, facts.
So there's that.
But yeah, I'm ready to ride hard, and I think that's what everybody should be doing moving forward. If a woman or man, whoever, and all the other genders, incorporating how many genders are there now?
We're not doing that. Things we're not going to do is that.
It's going to be a long day.
We're not going to be like, how many genders are there?
No. I don't know
how many genders there are.
But all the other genders, anybody any human being who says that they've been sexually assaulted, on this podcast, we're ready to ride hard for you. But then if we find out otherwise...
This David Bummy guy I just think he's a wrong'un. You know?
Why are you pointing at me?
No. Let's talk about it.
Man's like this David Bummy guy, yeah?
He's a wrong'un.
Like he's my boy. He's not my boy. I don't know him.
He's a wrong'un.
You know what's so funny about this whole thing, yeah? I saw the tweets that she put out and I was reading it. We couldn't even concentrate on my music because I was like, this guy's already annoying as it is, so this is going to be long.
Bro, he's been annoying. You know what? It's always the weirdos. There's 2 weirdos that have been exposed on thingy that are weird.
Who?
There's another guy and the guy that you guys
I'll
mentioned.
the name. Who?
He was always the...
I don't know who
always been... He went to our secondary school, bro.
Well, that's...
went to our school.
He's like a Congolese.
But yeah,
bro, it was in the younger years.
No, Sierra Leone.
He went to our school.
Yes, bro.
And he's
picture.
hashtag Twitter famous.
But yeah,
you can search it on your phone.
so obviously, This,
I don't have Twitter.
So obviously, I'm reading
No,
the
he's
thing
on
now.
Instagram as well.
I'm reading it. I'm thinking, wow, this is a crazy story. Obviously, she's explained it.
Oh, he's deactivated again right now. So
She's explained it, but I
Hammered
haven't.
him off there, and I love it.
I haven't really deeped it in my head what she's explaining, or like I'm trying to, but I'm not really picturing it. I've gone on Instagram, I'm scrolling. I've seen the same thing again, so I'm thinking maybe there's gonna be some more information. I've seen the picture and I thought to myself,
Who does this?
what?
Like what? Like why?
What is really happening?
this is his fan page.
Wait, this guy's famous.
Yeah, he's like an influencer.
I wouldn't say.
What, he's an influencer?
I wouldn't say famous, but he's one of these. But
And
all
he-
of his
and
all of his
young
fans
girls love
are
him.
all of his fans are
Like
the
14
young
to
the
18.
youngest.
What does he do?
Ask him.
He did go to our school. What
Ask
does he
him.
do?
He
His
flexes.
Instagram's active. Message him. Ask him.
He flexes what? What is he flexing?
He just
Ask
like
him.
you know those kind of YouTubers that just like literally vlog about their life, like they just show you like
he
what
vlogs.
they do on a
Did
day
he
to
vlog?
day.
Oh.
He's got a
No,
girl
I
in
don't
it,
know
so
if he vlogged,
they're doing
but
a
they
couple
just-
goals and that.
Yeah,
Stuff
people
like
just like,
that.
oh my
what-
god,
what
that's
is he-
being so fit.
He's fit.
I don't think
Well,
he's
like
fit.
people say that.
Yeah, girls love him.
Jesus Christ.
They love
But
it.
no, but you got to remember teenage brains.
Yeah.
Me.
It's the idea of, like,
teenage
oh
brain.
my
I was
God,
looking at.
this-
I was looking at Jada Pinkett Smith.
You was.
Hey, hit me up, man.
She ain't
For
seeing.
relationships.
Relationships. Hit me up.
Jada ain't seeing this.
Hey, you never know. Hey, shoot your shot, man.
She might be on a
Shoot and shoot.
YouTube hole.
Shoot and shoot, man. Shoot and
Jada ain't
shoot.
see. If Jada see, listen.
Shoot and shoot.
Don't let this guy touch. Don't come anywhere near this. Yo.
Yo, I promise I won't fall in love. I wonder what August does see.
Oh, here we go.
Poor man can't catch a break. What were you saying about? You
Yeah,
couldn't
he's
picture it in your
a
head,
wrong
and
one.
then you saw the
No, because I read the thing and I was always trying to picture it in my head and I was like, he put his hand on my breast. I was thinking, how does that even work?
Like the dynamics were.
dynamics don't
The
make
thing
sense.
is, he practiced that before.
Yeah,
Because
he
the
must have
dynamics, the curling, yeah, it was
Yeah,
crazy.
I've
Yeah,
got
that was
lining.
disgusting.
Bro,
That was
so obviously,
disgusting.
I've seen it on Instagram and I've seen a picture and I thought to myself, oh my god, you're gone.
Yeah,
You
it's
are gone. And it's so crazy because then they had like it was a slide thing on Instagram, innit?
Yeah.
And there's a video after the picture of him talking about, I think he was trying to make a point that he didn't do anything in that situation without consent. Like he was saying it over and over. So
It was like
what he
asked
was,
her
what he was
for
trying to imply was, although it looks like a mad thing,
She wanted it.
she consented that she wanted it. That's
Which
what he
makes
was,
no sense.
which was what he was trying to imply.
Are you telling me you go up to random women and be like, "Hi, can I touch your breast?"
But-
Exactly. Who
But
knows that?
looking at the picture, bro, like I'm completely gone because the explanation
It's
didn't.
bullshit. It's
And in
actual
fact,
bullshit.
I think I've seen a snippet of him on Insta Live chatting rubbish
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
that
Rubbish.
shit
On
is
top.
shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what was so mad? Do you know why I saw that was mad though? It was I think it was Shadeborough. They titled the picture David Bummy, and then they put consent advocator.
They're cheeky for that. They know what they're doing.
I was like, how can you label a man a consent
No,
advocator?
no.
Well, because he made that one video. How do you ask for consent? May I touch you? Yes.
You know what? If I was there watching him, make that video, yeah, I'd have thrown that camera away.
Have you
fam.
seen? Have you
Yeah,
seen?
no,
They've
no.
done
They
the.
would have lost that video. They
They've
would have lost the
done
footage.
R. Kelly.
Oh, the voiceover.
Yeah, R. Kelly voiceover.
The thing is,
Over it.
I clicked it.
Yo, niggas lying.
I clicked it for 3 seconds. And I said, you know, now I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this.
He's absolutely wrong.
Someone tweeted, I was reading the thread and someone said, but it's just a hand on her breast and it doesn't even look like it's fully in her bra. It seems like he has a clenched fist.
Who
So
said
I
that?
I don't know, some guy.
Shut the,
So
listen.
I said, honestly, congrats to sexual predators
Well,
that
you're-
out themselves
No,
every
you
single
shouldn't.
day.
You shouldn't.
Then add to the block list because
these
I
are-
did afterwards. I said, what are you on about?
No, these are the times. Yeah, I've always stood for this. If you see somebody say something you disagree with on Instagram, on Twitter, my one is just delete. I do not need to see this. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. You know?
No, I wasn't going back and forth. I just said shout out to the sexual predators that
I would,
out themselves
like,
every day.
You know what they
Showing
say?
their bomb online.
You know what they say?
Bro.
In
So
Nigeria,
what do you
we
mean
always say
it's
this.
just a hand on the breast? What do you mean it's just a hand on the
I'm
breast?
gonna tell you what they taught us in Nigeria when we were very young. Silence is the best answer for a fool.
But then they'll just keep going through life. Just like,
Hey, let them be a fool. Hey, the parents give birth to a
But
fool.
the
You're a
repercussions
fool.
is that you're not just a fool for you, you're a fool for
For
someone
everyone
else.
yeah.
For who?
The next person you go and just touch their breast.
No, not. I'm talking. Okay, in that case, facts. But I'm saying in terms of people who see that on on Twitter, bro, just ignore the guy, man.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
If you're not
just ignore
able
the
to
guy.
have a conversation,
Because
with the
if you
person
talk
face
to him, that person doesn't seem like the type of person who's gonna go, oh, you know
No, I
what,
didn't
you
have
were
time. I
right.
blocked him already.
Yeah.
Man said
There we go.
he took the picture and the hand was
I forget
just...
about David Bowie, man.
No,
He's a wrongin'.
I was
No, it's
so
actually
rattled.
really
Like,
bad.
I was.
No, he's
It's
alright.
me. And what makes it worse, yeah, he did that stupid consent video. I swear down, they would have lost that footage if I was the one recording that because he was like, "Oh, can I touch you? Are you alright in your head?" And that stupid little. Does he talk like that all the time?
I think
that's
so.
how he talks.
His parents must be tired of him. They're ready to send him back.
Yeah, he does.
Where's
talk
the
like
receipt?
A toddler.
Where's bro?
That is how he talks.
So
Can we have the
English?
I'll just talk to you.
English
Like,
is
can
not-
I please?
No, that's how he talks.
Yeah.
See, I don't like the whole thing is so obviously he's made that video. Then this has come out, which is not for someone to make a video about how consent works. And
Seems like he's ready.
And then he's done. Then this.
That's the same thing the other
wrong and done
idiot did.
Yeah.
He was talking like, oh yeah, he's the.
I think that you know what the best advice.
This is the thing. Just keep your. I don't want to say keep your mouth shut.
No.
But just only speak up if you know you have no skill.
No, I think, but you don't know that. So the best thing for you to do,
you were hiding your snacks. So I'll cover the whole operation. So I'm trying to get the car out of the way.
Skinny
Oh, she got snacks there.
She had a
whole grain
packed
rice
lunch.
cakes.
I'm fine, thank you.
Packed lunch.
I'm trying to get skinny. Do you know what I mean?
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Huh?
Why?
We're not talking about this on your podcast.
So let's talk about this.
We're not talking about my body dysmorphia in your podcast. No, but actually, let's get into this. Let's talk about mental health. You said everyone had to bring a topic. I didn't get told to bring a topic, but I can bring one.
You want to talk about mental health?
I do want to talk about mental health.
Of course, let's talk about mental health. What would you like to talk about?
25 minutes.
I want to talk about the importance of mental health.
The importance?
Yeah.
In what terms?
Looking after it.
Facts?
Do you look after your mental health?
I used to.
Why don't you look after your mental health no more?
I've made peace with it.
Made peace of not looking after your mental health?
No, I've just made peace with my mental health.
No, big mood. So when I went to
I've just made peace with it. I've just made peace with it.
No, when I went to go first see my therapist, she was like, why? Because I was like to her, no, my life will be better when I'm not depressed anymore, when I'm over this, da-da-da-da-da. And she's like, you're talking a lot about fighting, and fighting takes a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you don't have to give up, because people hear the idea of like, if you're not fighting, then you're giving up, when there's a middle ground, which is acceptance.
Yeah.
She's like, you don't have to use up all this energy to constantly fight this demon or whatever's going on in your head, when you can be like, do you know what? I'm having a bad day today, and that's okay. You don't have to take out all your energy to try and muster and fight against it. And it's more like the baby steps that you take on an everyday basis will get you to a point where you do end up just
accepting.
Yeah.
How did you get to go into therapy? Because obviously
it's easy.
Oh, it's a really sweet story.
No, as in not the story behind why you go in there, but as in like I don't know whether there's this thing about black people not going to go into therapy or accepting that kind of help.
Well, my workforce, mate.
Okay, so
no,
it's because I did some last year as well, right? But it's a very easy, not easy. I mean, it depends. If you're lucky enough to work for a company which like offers and pays for shit like that,
yeah,
that's calm. Because my company like pay for mine as well, but it's just like it's something that is good to do, even if you don't feel like you have like any problems. I mean, I knew I had problems in it, but it wasn't problems that I felt like I was ready to address. But then when I went, it was actually like, you know what? This is calm. This has affected me in a lot of ways, which I didn't know it was affecting me, and it was affecting a lot of my behaviors that I didn't even know was affecting me. And it was also affecting the way I was treating the people around me. So, for example, like, when I deep it, in terms of, like, my last relationship, a lot of the reasons why that went to shits was because of the way I felt about myself and just about a lot of other things. But yeah, once you do it, it's actually very helpful. I would always recommend that people go see a therapist or counselor.
Yeah.
Like once in your life, just to go. It's
you actually don't. Yeah, people think you have to be like on the floor, like your life has to be in tatters for you to go. I mean, mine was, but you can. It's so much better, and I'd much rather people went before they got to that stage, because the reason. So basically, like background to me, I have PMDD, which is like premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which means right before I get my period, I get like really, really low and really, really depressed, and means that I go through that cycle of like that up and down, a bit like having bipolar, but on a much more like cyclical basis. And it just got to a point where it was literally ruining my life. I was like, I can't do anything. This is taking over because it meant I spent like 7 days a month feeling like shit, and then the rest of the month trying to pick up the pieces of anything I'd let turn to shit in the past 7 days. So it was just a lot. It was a lot. And then like one day I'd gone into work and I'd been like crying on the train and stuff. I was like, no, let me just go in. And I got there and I was so sad. And I was like to my manager at the time, I was like, if you make me get on that train home, I can't guarantee I'm not going to jump in front of it. I was like, I feel so low that I don't know if I can make the journey back to my house again. And then she was like, you need to call, I think I called Samaritans first. So I forgot what the number is, 123, something like that. 123. I called Samaritans first and I spoke to some woman who was really sweet. And she just like taught me down a bit from being like that close to the ledge. And then after that, my work has health insurance. So I called Bupa and got them to set me up with a therapist, and it literally took all of about 72 hours for me to find someone, because I guess that's because it was going through paid, and I understand a lot of people like, oh, I'm waiting this and stuff, and if there is a way that you can pay for it, you should like really try and do that, and it's helped me a lot, because I've got to the point now where I just don't let it take over my life. Like last night I was like, I feel like shit. That's why I cook crumbles. I feel like shit. I'm just going to go to bed and then hopefully in the morning I'll feel fine. But before it was like, oh my God, what can I do to fix this? I need to be doing X, Y, Z, like stressing myself out to try and make myself feel better, when it wasn't. It was just being counterproductive, and I put all my life on hold to be like, once I get over this PMDD, once I overcome it, I'll be this kind of person. I'll be that. When really and truly it was counterproductive, and now the reason I have a bloody situation, the reason I talk about mental health is because of my experiences and what I went through. And a lot of that is difficult. And when I first told my mum I was depressed, I was in a big mood, because she's Zimbabwean, and she was like,
she's what?
Zimbabwean, and she was like, no. I said,
How did that go?
It was good fun. I'd just come back from uni, because I dropped out of uni because I was depressed, and she said, why did you drop out of uni? I said, because I was depressed.
Dropping out of uni, not to being depressed. Fuck uni. Actually, hold on, I want to shout out to John. Got his results.
Oh yeah, he got first class. My guy, Treyway.
Beautiful Black Pride. Love to see that shit, man.
I love it.
Shout out to my friends who got first too, but
no one cares about your friends.
It's like you don't care about your friends. You don't care about that face he made on the head. It's like, alright, cool, you got first move.
Black excellence. We love to see it, man. We love to see it.
Yeah.
I dropped out of uni because I was depressed, and then I came home and she's like, why did you leave? She's like, do you think you're depressed? She like goated me. I was like, yeah. And she's like, you're not fucking depressed. You don't know what depressed looks like. And then we got into a huge argument. We didn't speak for like 6 months, even though I was living under a roof.
I feel like, but then it's like, I was watching this Jeff Bridges like comedy thing yesterday, and actually helped me understand a lot of stuff with, you know, a lot of African parents. I mean, with dealing with my mum as well, and just in general, like African, like when you've been taught something, you've been conditioned something, it's very hard for you to then just lose it straight away. It takes because in the comedy thing, he was talking about how his dad, who is now 79 years old, in Australia voted for gay marriages to be allowed, and then he was saying that how in the space of time when his dad voted for gay marriages to be allowed, his dad felt like he was a progressive, and then somebody started talking to his dad about transsexuals, and his dad was just like, nope, I'm not getting that far. But it's just
That's a lovely...
No. It was just kind of, it just goes to show that a lot of people get stuck in their ways, and like I was saying, it's a process that they have to follow. But with a lot of Africans in general, when you've grown up, we have to accept that for them, depression is a fairly new thing. What
maybe depression as in
modern day in this climate, for them growing up, depression is like watching somebody or watching somebody you love. Depression to them is weary. You know what I mean? Somebody going crazy like they're just talking to themselves. That's what depression
is. On the street,
when
that's
they're
when they're like, okay, cool, maybe. Think. But if it's not that, if not, then just go to church or go to mosque and just pray.
Like I remember growing up, if I told my mom like I was depressed, she would be like, "Have you eaten?"
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I'll be like, she'll be like, no, but no one that's full is ever depressed. Obviously, because that's the way she's been raised. If you're full, if you're that, if you got clothes, if you got a house to live in, you have no right to be depressed.
You can't. Do you know what it is? Not like you can't blame them, but the conditions.
No, you can't blame them. No, you can't. You legit can't blame them.
It's different because over there, where
you have no.
You ain't got time.
I was speaking to Zanera about this the other day, in terms of a lot of, which is what you just said. You don't have time to be depressed in even if you are depressed, you don't have time to face the fact that you're depressed, because you've got 4 kids that you've got to feed, you've got to pay for school fees, you got go to work. Your life is constantly on a bank onto the next, onto the next, onto the next. I might need help. You just get through it.
Otherwise, no one eats.
At the end of the day,
that's the real
fam.
Niggas is say if it's like a single mom that's come to come to England now, and she's got what, 3 boys now, 4 boys, and she has to take care of all of them, plus work, night job as well on top, feed them, clothe them, take them to school,
Trying
all
to
of
make
that
sure
stuff,
they're educated,
and she's
they're
going
in
through
trouble.
it. But if she stops for 1 second, everything goes down the drain.
So it's even like that when I speak to my mum a lot of the times about when we were still in Nigeria, when me, my sister, my brother, and my other sister were in Nigeria. When we speak about the experiences that she went through here, she went through depression, but to her. That's not. She's just like because to her, in her mind, she's left. It's so hard for a mother to leave her children. She's left the children at a whole entire continent, and she's here. In her mind, she's doing what's best for us, but still, she doesn't know what she will be like. Sometimes I'll buy Chinese and I'll be at home and I want to eat it, and I'll just think of my children eating today, and she doesn't know. And she's like, because of that, then I can't eat. And she's like, I struggle to sleep because I'm up all night thinking like shit like that. So like with a lot of stuff that they go through, they don't know themselves that it's depression because they don't allow themselves to feel like they don't. I don't want to say an excuse. They don't want to give themselves an excuse, so they project that onto.
But I think even just a little bit of that we can take from it, as in being able to move forward and have the strength to carry on. You can just carry that, because obviously I think only recently have they started, like, especially with our generation, because obviously we're over here, innit? So when we tell them, there's depression, or they see ads about it, or people talking about it, it's a new concept for them, innit? And so you just have to give them time to get used to it. But you need to.
It's very hard for them to get used to.
It is, but
it's very because already you have to deep it as well. It's about one thing that helps me get through, like if I'm feeling sad or if I'm feeling down. One thing that helps me get through it is for me a lot of things about perspective, right? What side you're looking at something from. Because in my head, if I'm in my room now, let's say like this tonight, for example, I'm in my room and I feel mad down and I don't know why. I think, fuck, there are people in, like, bruv, in Niger. Like, when we used to live in Nigeria, yeah, we had a nice house, we had a nice flat, whatever, but we were surrounded by, fucking shanty towns and slums, and like people who would wake up at 4 a.m. to start go selling all this shit. And I'll be thinking to myself in my bed, bruv, if one of those people were given the opportunity to be where I am right now, they would take it. Like they would kill somebody for this.
That's a slippery slope there.
I know, but it's a way that it helps me snap out of it.
But their problems doesn't take away yours.
Facts.
Because you wouldn't be like happy because you got a promotion at work and someone goes, oh yeah, but someone's making more money than you. So don't be that happy.
Facts. But the thing I'm trying to get to is that in life, everybody has problems in it. And it's just about which problems you would rather have. I'd rather have the problems that I had.
There's always someone worse than you.
There's always somebody worse than me.
You gotta be. It doesn't make sense, but in relating your problems to someone else's, there's a lot to be thankful for when you process. Because there's a lot of people out there that are doing worse.
I think a lot of people.
But you can be thankful without relating to your problems.
You say that, but when you're in a certain mindset,
it's very difficult for you to be thankful
of what you're going through.
Because a lot of times I feel like now it's been kind of like obviously if you're depressed, if you suffer from depression, don't want to say it's all right for you to feel like that. Like there's nothing wrong with you feeling like if you have depression. It's perfectly normal. It's something that people go through. But at the same time, it's like because you're in that mood and you're in that state of mind, it's very, very hard for you to see the positives in anything. And if you have that thing that reminds you of the positive things you have in your life, then that thing can snap you out of it when you are going through that. For me, that is remembering where I came from and remembering what I was once surrounded by to what I am now surrounded by now.
But I think the narrative can be slightly pivoted instead of being like, I have to think about other people going through worse for me to appreciate good, as opposed to just being like, do I have something in my room, for example, that just makes me feel good? Can I just reach out to a friend that will make me feel good?
Yeah, true.
It's that bit of like poverty born of like when people are like, look at how bad other people are living, you should be so thankful, and then that stresses you out because you're like, okay, but fuck, I'm not thankful, fuck, I don't feel happy. There was times I was like, yeah, my life is great, like in comparison to people, that's fine, I 100% understand that. We don't understand how much more pressure and guilt that puts on me, because like, well, why aren't I happy then? I should be happy then, because as you keep telling me, I have everything that I need. So but then that's from our perspective, thinking that you have everything that you need, but you don't feel like you have everything that you need.
True. Boys, long conversation, boy. All I'm saying is, I got that PS4. I'm about to go online and do a bad job on Call
This
of
boy,
Duty.
if it's not PS4, he doesn't want to hear
Yeah, I
it.
don't want to hear it.
What
bro.
topic did you come with, Uri?
My PS4.
It's
Listen,
it's onto you now.
if you want to link me, bring your PS4.
Oh, that's the topic. That's the
Yeah.
topic you brought.
If you wanna
That's the
link-
topic you brought.
if you wanna link-
Useless. You useless
Listen,
piece of shit.
if you
Mons,
wanna
what
link
topic
me-
did you bring?
You can
I'm
talk
not-
about like what you want. Are
Sorry?
you excited for the new console? Does it look sexy?
No one.
Listen,
We're not talking about no PS5 on this podcast,
that
bro.
new console, I'm
No
getting
one-
it one way or another, fam.
With what money?
I'm doing
With
the
what
most.
money?
I'm doing backflips.
I don't understand. Wait, what's your problem? I
You
don't
know-
get it.
wait,
Every
wait,
time.
No, hold on.
Let people
Are you
enjoy
willing?
things.
Are you,
I like-
hold on. Are you willing to do Chocolate City for
I
me?
said I did backflips. What are you talking about?
Are you doing
You do
Chocolate
that
City?
then?
I'm doing backflips in central London.
No. There's a difference between backflips and Chocolate City.
Listen,
I'm going to have the bucket out there.
I'm doing backflips in central London.
Stop
And
ignoring the
and
question.
Listen, relax.
Are you doing Chocolate
There's
City?
a reason I'm ignoring the question.
You can do a backflip.
Are you doing Chocolate
I
City?
can practice.
I don't know. You'd be surprised.
He said, I'll wait till I bust my neck on the
Do it now.
PS5.
Listen, September come. I don't
You're
have
gonna
that
shuck and
PS5.
jive for the white man.
Listen,
You're
Oh!
gonna be shucking and jiving for the white man for a PS5.
Alright,
Come
she
on,
came
listen.
with the Uno switch
Come
card.
listen. That PS5 comes with a Rolex, fam. You know what I want to get. Listen, that
You can find that tomorrow.
if September comes out, yeah. If September comes and I don't have the bread for that PS5, if you see me in Santa just put money in my box.
I'm stealing that box.
Just put money in my box and walk past. You don't know me.
I'm stealing that box.
If you stand there and stare too long, I might fist you
Alright,
up.
cool.
So that's my worst nightmare.
This is a proposition. Lovelynn said she has the bread for the PS5.
Impossible.
Lovely said she had the what for the what?
But you have to recreate. Have you seen the BBC thing when he's doing doop?
I can't do that.
This nigga don't want a PS5, man.
Yeah, you don't want that bad.
No, I don't.
You're right. I remember.
You're right, I don't. I got my PS4.
We don't got money. If you want, look at
No.
Yeah,
Would
PS4.
you be buying the PS5 for any young man? Or
No.
why?
She looked at the camera.
One.
I thought matriarchy, you know?
I don't.
Oh, alright, this Uno switch card.
I have to cut that one out still.
I thought matriarchy, you know? No?
If my baby father's watching this,
Baby father?
yeah, if my baby father's
You've
watching
got a child?
No, man.
Nigga.
Oh, sorry, I'm mad slow, my bad.
If my baby father's watching this and he wants
Speak
a
to the
PS5,
camera.
we can talk about it. But,
$5.
Ori?
is that how much it is?
No,
You
it's
didn't
four.
know
It's
that?
like
It was 4.
six.
It's close to 5. Listen, let me
Shouldn't have
educate
reached
you.
still.
It's gonna be 4 something. Yeah. Then you're gonna probably get a bundle.
I'm gonna,
so that's
I'm
already
gonna cut
5.
this bit out, but if you man see me on a plane to Scotland,
Oh, yes!
I'm gonna cut this bit out.
You're wrong.
I'm coming with you.
Leave it.
Can't relate
It's
to it.
time. Let's go.
I don't understand the inside joke.
Have you
Not
seen?
me.
Hey, have you seen the meme with LeBron? The opposite.
Yeah.
Sorry, back to you.
PS5 is like 4 something. You're gonna get a bundle with it. That's like 2 games. It's definitely going up to 5. Listen, the rules are
If you're
different.
feeling cheeky, extra
Extra
controller.
pad.
Oh, you need
And if
that
you're feeling
extra
even
controller.
cheeky, you'll get a little, what's it called?
The
Dock where you
rack
can charge
thing.
the thing.
Okay, now that's the.
No,
Oh,
the
what about
thing
the
is-
headset as well and
The
the,
Lux
and the
thing.
VR thing as well?
Listen.
No, the thing is though, I'm a sucker. So like, if I genuinely did meet someone that I fell in love with in the next 2 months,
What's your
I'd
type?
do
Speak to the camera. Tell us what your
it.
type
Oh,
is.
that's
Can't do
loud,
that. 6
man.
mils. What, 6? What's it? 6
Anybody got pen and paper?
When you tell men that they're your type, they just suddenly adapt into your type.
Hey,
so
do you know?
keep it.
Do you know what I saw today that touched my
That
soul?
bouquet is it's still.
What? Remember the other week we were discussing about how women have no game, and we were
False.
saying that women don't move to guys.
False.
I saw this thing on Instagram. It said women do move to guys. You're just
You're
not paying enough to know.
Wrong. You know what's so bad, yeah?
Shit.
Like I said, like I said earlier, like I said earlier, my PS5 is my go-to. So when I saw that, I locked my phone. I put my PS5 on. Cause I wanted to be happy. That is a
That means I'm ugly.
We're dead.
We're butters. We're butters.
I don't get moved to. We're dead. When I saw that,
Oh.
I said, "Yeah, Call of Duty. Here I come." Because, bro,
We're butters.
I'm dead.
We're butters.
I'm dead. No.
Every guy I've ever been with, I moved to them.
Really?
Thanks, shit.
Come on. I respect it.
Just because I see what I want and I'm like, I want it.
Wait, so like, did you go up when you say you moved to them? You didn't.
No, I wasn't giving them eyes from
stare
across the
them
room,
down like you're Superman and trying to get your beats to work.
No, my ex, I was like, we had a mutual friend.
I really
and I
hope
was
this camera's still rolling.
I was like, you need to get me. You need to fucking do something about it. I was like, I need to talk to him. And then my mutual friend gave him my number, but he hadn't texted me for like 3 days. What's going on? So then I saw him.
Games.
No.
Yeah.
Trust me, you can't just like.
So I saw him because this is when I was at sixth form. So I saw him and he like walked past me. He's like, "You alright?" And then I was like, "Yeah." And then he walked down the hall a bit. And I just went, "I know you have my number, so I don't understand why you won't text me."
Gang.
He was like, "What?" I was like, "You have me." And then he texted me that night. And then like every other bar, I've just like gone up to him and be like, "I just think you're fit."
So, but isn't that
me? What?
nothing? I was gonna make a dead joke there, don't I?
You're right. I'm glad you stopped it.
Quickly, that is my worst nightmare. Meeting a guy who shuts and jives in the streets, in the club, in the bar, anywhere. Me falling for you, and I find out you have choreographed routines with your friends.
But why is that bad?
It just makes me cringe.
No, that's mad. No, imagine your guy, he's just doing the popping, like in the middle, and he's sweating. Like,
Sweating.
No, but she said, no, you have it. So you could be in a club. But isn't that like half the Jamaicans? Because once they choose someone, they have the dance that they do, and us Nigerians as well. When soccer comes on and we're shaky with
it makes me cringe, fam. What? Babes, can you come see me? Say, no, I'm gonna go around Jamal's and we're gonna practice the routine.
Okay, no, that's
disgusting.
That's disgusting. Get out of here!
If you're doing anything like that, you better keep it a secret because you're doing
in your garage, you're fucking.
That's disgusting. At your grown age,
that's mental.
You better go get a job.
And you're the one in the club. It was like. Hey! Oh my god! I'd rather die. You're sweating. Someone's giving you a towel.
But if you're doing it to make money, that's calm. Yeah. But if you're doing it just to be dancing in the club with your friends, you're sad.
No, but I mean, if that's what you're gonna do for fun,
if that's what's gonna make you happy, do it.
I'm not your wife. That's
like
your business.
Listen, like I always say.
So you stop your man from truly being happy?
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't beat my man.
Wow. There's someone out there for everyone.
Yeah.
There's someone.
You own him at heart.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone's got that thing that makes someone. My friend's sister's friend said that she stopped dating a guy because when they met, he was wearing like a Mac, like the jacket, and he belted it up too tight. And she said, "What? No,
I hear that.
Good. I hear that. What will stop you from dating a? What will stop you from dating a?
That's petty.
Yeah.
Flares.
Old lady.
Flares.
I've got bare pairs of flares.
Flares.
No, I don't mind flares. You know
Jeans
the
the tight flares.
No, you know the ones that is like they're tight. It's like the floral
they're tight
thing,
up until here,
and then they mad.
I like that one.
Chef's kiss.
I love it.
I need it. But you know what? A poor choice of footwear.
Oh yeah. Dirty Air Forces, I can't do.
Yeah,
you know what's worse than dirty Air Forces? Shoes that you can't see. You know why? Because the flares are covering it up. Come and nick me flares. I won't want to see you again.
You know, one thing. If you leave your house with socks and sliders, or just sliders, I can't do.
Oh no, he's wearing slippers.
I can't do.
No, I'm driving.
But if you go out, like you're saying, you're in your house and you're going to.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to corner shop, that's calm. But if you're like going somewhere, like you have to get on the bus. Yeah, please put on footwear. Thank you.
I saw a TikTok or something that was like, imagine a man turning up to your door with a backpack, and that really did something to me.
What's wrong with a backpack?
I saw that the other day.
Why are you coming to link me with a backpack?
Because he's got stuff in the backpack. He might be going somewhere after.
I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. It just makes me.
Okay, what if it's like let's say, like a videographer and he's got his camera and his laptop and stuff.
That's different.
On the move, young boss.
No, different. Why kind of backpack?
Young entrepreneur.
Sorry, why kind of backpack at 23?
Because it's got my laptop in it.
Where have you come from?
Work.
Where do I can be going somewhere?
My laptop, my thing. I don't carry rucksacks about, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, what if my laptop was in there?
Laptop.
Okay, but
I don't know.
Are we going on a date?
Man can't come.
Wait, hold on. Sorry,
that's what I'm saying.
You said if it turned up to your house.
Because we're going out.
Okay, no, but I still don't see what's wrong with it. Even if you're going on a date.
Leave your backpack at home.
No. Hold on. If you don't have a car, if let's say me.
I can leave it at the crib and you come back and get it.
If you're going somewhere right after the date. This is not the first date.
Yeah,
if this is like our 5th date, bro, I'll bring the backpack,
man. You might even carry it on your backpack. It's not heavy, man. I'm just tired.
Don't you have a backpack?
No, I didn't bring it.
You didn't bring one today because you always have a backpack, don't you?
Good for you.
LOL. What you're trying to say is he was already dead, but this backpack didn't finish.
You're underneath the ground,
bro.
You're nothing. You're kick for me. You're nothing.
People that want you.
Impossible, man. I told you already. I don't.
I know a couple people. You know what? You'll get to that.
Thank you for another episode of Nothing New Podcast.
Why don't you want to believe in your source?
No, he believes in it. He's just capping for you because you're here. That's it. That's all he. No, he knows it. He knows it.
Wonderful guest.
Someone who has a bit like that knows exactly what they're on and what they're capable of.
That is so sweet.
They know it.
This guy
He knows it. He knows it.
20 racks
He
on the
knows
chain.
it.
Gas your
20 racks on the chain. You're gonna do this to me.
20 racks on the chain. Come
20
on.
racks on the
Put
chain.
a mortgage on the neck. Mortgage on the neck. Nah.
Your pendant cost about 12 bags. That's a long.
I stole this from my
I
sister.
want to break
man.
outfit. So.
You want to what?
Huh?
No, you got a Doc Martens on.
No, it's
They're
saggy
not.
still.
These
They're
are
bricklayers.
These are.
Dripping.
But girls can get away wearing cheap clothes. You wouldn't know the
you-
difference.
Who says actually? I was gonna say.
No, they do it all the time. The night out, they'll be saying, "Oh no, he's not wearing
that
IP.
£12
He's not
booty.
wearing."
Where's the
but-
IP?
There's the IP. It's like they're not wearing the IP. They're not wearing the Rolex. But
Let's lock it off, man. I'm
the
trying to
chain-
go
the
home,
chain shoe
baby.
and the.
Lock it off. Lock
Why
it off.
we've got to go home?
But
I gotta go home, innit? I haven't eaten today. I'm on a diet.
Do you want a rice cake?
I'm fine, thank you.
But yeah,
Lock it off.
thanks for listening to another episode of Nothing New Podcast. I promise you, we're doing Zoom next week.
this guy's too excited.
This guy said, I don't know.
He doesn't get the house much.
I missed you.
Yeah, man, I missed
man.
you
We've been in a
bad.
lockdown.
I've missed you
Yeah, cool, but
bad.
don't touch me. But yeah, listen. It's been
20
a
racks on the neck.
20 racks on the necks over there. CEO, my man, CEO, wonderful guest over here.
Lovelynn. Let's give a round of applause.
No, wait. Plug your blogs.
Yeah.
Follow a bloody situation on Instagram. It's Lovelynn on Twitter and Instagram. abloodysituation.com. And catch anything else that you might see me writing, like at Black Ballad and Garden.
And she was in
Women's
the
Health.
magazine.
Oh, were you?
So,
I remember you were because I picked up that day to see.
Really,
Oh,
really.
did you?
Yeah, of course I did, man.
Yeah,
Support.
Yeah, I sent it to you. Remember?
Maybe we can throw some links in the.
Yeah, we will. Everything in the description.
In the description.
So,
Unfortunately,
yeah.
I won't be here.
Thank you for
next week.
listening. No, you might be. If you want, you can come back.
Recurring
Friend of the
guest.
show.
I
Not
don't.
recurring.
This
innit?
nigga don't.
Once a year. Once a
This
year.
nigga got 1/3 of the power in this room. I don't know. He's got 1/3 of the power in this room. So, Lovelynn, if you don't come here next week, it's his fault. I'm with him.
Bro! This Uno card needs to get the shit.
The setup is ruined. Yeah. But
I didn't even do my skliat. Oh,